still watching the vote for Secretary of State Rex Tillerson. We'll bring you the decision once we know what it is. Now we want to go to Nayyera Haq, a former State Department spokesperson and a former White House senior director under President Obama. Nayyera, thank you for joining me, number one.
Great to be here.
Talk to me about what you just saw with Michael Flynn taking the podium. That is a marked difference from the posture we saw during the Obama administration.
And posture is exactly the right term. So much of public diplomacy is about the posturing and the back channel and these subtle hints and measures. Now, traditionally, the State Department and the Pentagon have worked hand in glove, with the Pentagon doing the military preparation and the State Department leading the way on representing American interests on a diplomatic front. And what you're seeing now is essentially a fracturing of this type of relationship because of the ideology coming out of the White House and a lot of the personality-driven policy. When you're used to have an agreement on putting American leadership overseas, we're now seeing folks trying to figure out what America First means. And it seems that part of the America First agenda is to really go at it with Iran. And someone like Michael Flynn, who has had an obsession with Iran over several years, is now, by coming out and speaking directly to the White House press corps, really escalated the level of dialogue and conversation, forcing now Iran likely to have to respond in even stronger words and measures. In previous years, we've often seen these conversations happen in back channel or with written statements. And a former general now responsible for U.S. national security and foreign policy to come out and make such a statement of putting a country on notice is frankly the type of language that hints towards further military action, even though that may not be what the Pentagon is currently preparing for.
Nayyera, we're watching this vote for Rex Tillerson. If he ends up getting confirmed for the State Department, we do believe he will, what sort of weight will that dissent memo that's being passed around among diplomats all over the world, what sort of weight will that have in a Rex Tillerson potential regime?
And this is the interesting part of working in national security that makes it very different than domestic politics. You're largely driven by a common end, again, which is to expand American leadership over the world and not necessarily have places like China and Russia come in when there's a vacuum. But Tillerson will be inheriting a State Department that has lost a lot of its logistical leadership, diplomatic security, heads of consular affairs, people who do visas. All of these folks were summarily asked to leave. Very quick notice last week, right before a massive travel ban was put in place and put all of our borders and consular embassies in a disarray for travel. Tillerson is going to inherit a State Department where career officials now feel that they are not able to do their jobs and have to speak out through what is called the dissent channel. The dissent channel has always been a place for people to have policy discussions. The last one under Secretary Kerry, he met with folks who wrote this and they had an honest policy discussion. This time you have the White House declaring that people who either get in line or go. So Tillerson's going to have to really do a lot to get people on board and working towards a common mission.
Nayyera Haq, thank you so much for joining me.